Sit back and relax as today's program guides you through all things pop culture and the deepest corners of the internet. Warning, may cause brain rot. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Brain Rot. I'm your host, Maya V. Henry, and I'm excited to be back again for another episode. We're going to get into it today. I just want to vibe with you guys. I want to hang out. I want to catch up for a minute, talk about summer and the whirlwind that it was. We are transitioning into fall. I feel like my mind's going crazy. Everything's in retrograde. All that shit's going down, you know. I don't really know, but I'm just like talking at my ass because I'm a little chaotic at the moment and just figuring life out, as I'm sure many of us are. I'm almost 30 freaking years old, which terrifies me. I want to get into all things social media, talk about, making content for 10 years, dealing with hate over those 10 years, also talking about quitting YouTube and social media in general, because I just feel like there's so many facets that just aren't gelling, but I also just want to talk about life and dating and everything. And we're going to get into it today, you guys. So strap yourself in, grab your MF and popcorn, and let's do this. So the cat's out of the bag. I've been creating content here for, like 10 years on and off. And I kind of started like very inadvertently. I was just kind of vibing and figuring shit out. I didn't necessarily think was a career option or something that would build into anything. And so it was never really my plan to do this, you guys. Like, I just fell into it because I was sharing my story online. It's that age old thing where, like, you make story times, you connect with people, and then you reap all the benefits and all of the deficits of what that comes with. By and large, though, it's been such a fun journey. I've met so many of you guys over the years, and I will say, like, when I first blew up, it was very, very unexpected. It was when I did my embarrassing transgender stories, I think it was, and I just kind of talked about these embarrassing incidents that happened to me over my life, whether it was before or after I had started the transition publicly, and that blew up. This was 2015, I think. It was a long time ago. And yeah, it was such a weird thing because then I went back to school in the fall. I was going to university at the time, and people started recognizing me. Like, I would go out to some bars with my friends also for the first time, and we would just be dancing to some live music and stuff, having a few drinks, doing our thing at like 19, 20. Then people would come up to me that were my age in Toronto, and they'd be like, "Oh my God, I love your YouTube videos." And I was like, "Oh my God, like, that's insane. Like, that's wild." Like, I never conceptualized that before in my life. And so there was a lot of like high moments where I was like, wow, this is so cool. I'm connecting with like-minded people, and I am just living my life for the first time as myself too. So I was definitely like riding that wave a little bit for a while in the beginning, but it wasn't lucrative. I wasn't, in LA driving a G Wagon, doing all that stuff. It just wasn't the vibe for me. And I think in Canada as well, it's a lot more difficult to monetize your social media. Like, yes, you can do ad revenue on YouTube and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of industry here and a lot of opportunity, especially not in 2015. I think I first started noticing events and things for social media influencers in 2018. So that was 3 years later. And even then, it was only just starting to like blossom and stuff. So definitely such a weird and wild journey. But I will say in 2015, I also dealt with my first string of, serious hate messages. I was getting emails from random men, and they were basically just saying how they wanted to do horrible things to me, how they wanted to unalive me, and all these terrible things. And it was a really tough time to kind of compartmentalize all of this like nice positivity and all of the hate as well. And at such a young age, at 20. And I kind of thought over the years, like over the 10 years, the hate would dissipate. But in some ways, it's gotten worse. And in some ways, I've just desensitized myself to it. It's kind of weird, right? So just the other week, I literally got a hate comment where someone was dissecting my body. They were saying, "You have this line on your stomach that isn't natural to XX women, and you can never have surgery to cover that. So you'll always be a man." That kind of vibe. And I'm like, holy shit, they're literally abs, sir. Maybe if you did some sit ups, you would realize that you can have them too. Women can have them when they work out. I do do long distance running. I try really hard to be fit the way that I am. And I think it's so silly that these people come online and they try to pick you apart. I'm at a point now in my life where I just feel so at peace in my body and who I am. So when I come online, it's so jarring and confusing to see all these hate comments from people that are dissecting how I look. How I look is like the least insecure thing about me. You know what I mean? And so it's silly and ridiculous that people still come on here and trash me all the time. Now, I'm not going to lie, when you repeat certain abuses to yourself, aka reading hate comments online or involving yourself in that kind of sphere, it kind of absorbs into you by osmosis. Like it just penetrates you in a way that you don't expect over time. And then it starts to become an insecurity for you. And so, in that way, social media has been quite toxic to me because there are so many things I would have just moved on with my life. Like when I live my day to day life, it's just not a thing for me, but I am rehashing certain wounds when I come online because there are people who are so unhappy with their own lives and they are just trying to throw that onto me, which is crazy. Like someone is coming online and picking apart micro things about my face. They're telling me my chin's too big. They're telling me I need to get a tracheal shave. They're telling me my stomach is too boxy. All these things that, regular women who didn't even transition might also have. And now they're reading your comment and they're saying, wow, does that make me manly too? You know what I mean? And so it's this policing that just never ends. And it goes both ways. You can't be so degrading and policing towards trans women and expect it to not affect natural born women as well, And so I think we really need to dissect here why these people, these individuals are coming online and saying these things, who they are, what their background is, and what their motivation is, and the context of them saying these negative things. Because sometimes I get in my head and I'm like, you know what, they're right. I will never be a natural woman. I'll never be good enough. I'll never be XYZ. But then guess what? I meet people who don't give an F in real life because they're actually outdoors touching grass, living their lives, and they're not like rolling around in their own freaking crapulence in their parents' basement, literally soaking up their sweat, washing themselves with a rag on a stick, and typing keyboard warrior things to attack people when they themselves can't even look in the mirror without it cracking into a million pieces and shattering on the floor. So we really have to unpack that. I will say this, and I will stand on this. No one who's successful, attractive, and happy has ever come for me. They've never tried to degrade me. They've never tried to bring me down. And they really don't try to do that to other people because they are too content with themselves. And what you give is what you get in this life. If you are putting out kindness and happiness and joy, and you are putting out beauty and positivity, those are the things that are going to emanate from you. They're going to fill your environment and they're going to create people and opportunities that surround you and mirror the same energy back. And I think that's so, so important because sometimes when I am being bombarded with these hate comments, it brings out a really negative, nasty side in me. I will be doing a live stream or something and all of a sudden the haters start flocking in and they're obsessed. They've seen all my videos. They comment on everything. Why would someone engage with me on such a deep level more than the average person if they hated me? It doesn't make sense. If you don't like the dinner you're being served, you'll have a couple bites, be like, I don't like this, and then not eat the whole thing, Why are you eating the whole fucking Maya V. Henry cake and coming on my channel and literally engaging with every single thing that I post? It's because you're obsessed, And that's the truth too, you guys. If someone is to that level hating on you, it means you've done something right in this world because they are jealous. They either want to be us, they're jealous of the opportunity that we've had in life, or they want to F us and they're attracted to us and it is what it is. You know what I mean? They wouldn't engage with us otherwise. And so if you're on here thinking about commenting something nasty, just remember we know what you're about. We know what the vibe is. And I think you need to do some self-reflection. Obviously, no one else can make you realize these things or stop you from doing what you're going to do. You have your own free will, your own free speech. But it just reflects negatively on you and paints you as a bad person. Now let's slide on over to today's Brain Booze segment. Today's beverage of choice is not booze at all. It's actually something really healthy and helpful that I've been trying out, and I just wanted to update you guys on. It is Magic Mind. Do more and stress less. Magic Mind is an amazing beverage to start my day. I use it every single day. It's got ceremonial grade matcha with slow release caffeine. It's got nootropics and adaptogens, lion's mane mushroom, all your B vitamins. So delicious. Today I'm having it with some sparkling water because I want a little bit more of a beverage out of it. You can also just take it as a shot. It is so tasty and it gives me that energy that I need. It's lightly sweet and it is perfect with some club soda or sparkling water, Perrier, whatever you have. You can have it in a smoothie. You can have it just as a shot. And look at this color. It's so on brand for Brain Rot. We have the pinks and the greens here. This is totally our branding. And I just give it a little swirl with my straw. Dab the ice in. And I've got a delicious beverage that's going to keep my vitamin levels high and in check. It's going to relax me with a little bit of ashwagandha because getting work done doesn't have to be about the caffeine shakes. It doesn't have to be about stressing. Do more, stress less, awaken your flow state, and try to have the most performance and best productivity of your life. You can also use my coupon code for a amazing percentage off on their website. The link is in my description box. Check it out, you guys. You will not be disappointed. I love it. I think it's an amazing way to start my day. And it's such a quick and easy way to get your energy boost. Cheers. Now, one of the main topics of today's pod episode is quitting YouTube, right? And it's definitely something I've considered over the years. And I always have people asking me as well because it's not something that I felt would ever be forever. And it's also not something that I ever even really considered as a career, especially growing up and stuff. I always saw it maybe as a little bit of a stepping stone, which it has been over the years. You guys know I've done a few films that have had moderate success, which is cool. I don't know if I necessarily see myself 100% as an actress. I think if I really do a deep dive psychologically, like after, say, I filmed Don Her Dad and the Tractor, loved it, amazing experience. I loved working with people. I loved doing the acting. But I think part of me just like hated watching myself on screen. It was very jarring to see myself from so many different angles, to see myself performing in a role that was not really my personality or my character, which is obviously the point of acting. But it was very dissociative. I don't know, like I watched it and I'm like, I just couldn't connect with who I was seeing on screen. And I remember, like, even my friends were watching the film and they were like, I know you're acting because I know who you are as a person and that's not you. And so I just was in my head about it. And I'm like, am I a good actor? I don't know. Would people like to see me on TV or in films? I don't know. Do I even want to be on TV or in films? So I was just kind of having that kind of like psychotic moment where I'm like, I don't know if acting is 100% for me. I think maybe that's why I haven't pursued it 100%. Would I like to do it just for fun as a hobby? Of course. I just don't know if I see myself as like, you know, a leading actress for the rest of my life. It kind of scares me a bit. I do enjoy it, but like, I don't know. Maybe I just need to like get back into some workshops or something. I feel like I do want to write a short film and stuff. I personally really like to work behind the scenes and I like to curate my vibe, my story, my world. And I find sometimes as an actor, you are a vessel for telling other people's stories. You can obviously like work and collaborate with people, but at the end of the day, your vision is second to the writers, second to the directors, second to the producers. You have to deliver what they want at the end of the day, which is so important. But at the same time, I kind of miss the element of creating my own world. And so I think that's something I would consider going into. But for social media, I kind of went on a tangent. For social media, I have such like a love-hate relationship, and I feel like you guys probably know this by now. I don't love the vibe of being an influencer. I don't feel that I influence people. Maybe inadvertently if someone likes something I'm wearing or the way I'm doing my makeup or something or the way I, decorate my home. Sure, maybe you're influencing people, but like everyone's an influencer. Everyone does stuff like that in their day-to-day lives. I visit a friend's house and I'm like, "Oh my God, I love your rug. Where did you get it? I want to get get it, you know? Or my friend has an amazing makeup hack that she does, and I just am so blown away. I want to go to Sephora and go and buy that right away, you know? Like, we're all influencing each other every day. And I think very much in an Andy Warhol type of way, where our 15 minutes of influencing is happening all the time. There's so many influencers now. It's such a saturated market. And I don't really see 100% of myself always doing influencing. Will I maybe always have a presence on social media? Sure. But I definitely think now that I'm getting closer to 30, I want something a little more enriching and fulfilling to me. And this is not to play into the haters' comments, because I get so many comments as well saying, when are you going to get a real job? You must have a sugar daddy to pay for all your things. You probably have rich family. You are so spoiled. You have everything done for you. The answer is no, 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 no. I've done everything myself. But the haters don't want to hear that. They don't like when someone's self made, because then it puts accountability and onus onto them to make their own lives better, you know? I am a resilient bitch. I just am. I worked so hard to be where I am today. I did not come from much. Single mom, four younger sisters. I was full-time babysitter when I was 11 years old. I moved out from home when I was 18, right when I turned 18. I was surviving off of student loans in order to pay for everything. My mom had a $1,000 savings bond that she took when I was literally born, and that's all she gave me going to school. And I had a few scholarships from high school. And I just combined all that to try to survive. I had no money. I worked at McDonald's during my undergrad. I still have student debt. And I have just worked ever since. I've worked in Starbucks. I've worked as a barista in the airport, a hostess. I've worked as a bartender, a mixologist. I've done so many different jobs, worn so many different hats over the years. And I also created my YouTube channel and, you know, my social media career. I've worked as an actress. I've starred in films. I have put in work. So when these haters come on here and try to denounce my history and try to say that I don't do anything and that I'm lazy and all these things, it's like, no, I have worked really hard to be who I am and where I am. And I have a lot of skills that are valuable in this world. And so I think it's so important to stand up to that kind of mentality, because there's a lot of people in life that are going to try to push you down and make you feel lesser than. And as long as you believe in yourself and you don't give into that imposter syndrome, you can accomplish anything. Look who is in power, you know? There's CEOs of companies that have no idea what the F they're doing and should not be in power. There's nepotism at play. There's so many situations that are so inappropriate. And as long as you have a good head on your shoulders, you're kind, you're caring, compassionate, and you're smart, you can get anything in this world done. You just have to believe in yourself and own the moment. So, will I be quitting YouTube soon? I don't think so. I'm going to obviously be creating more content for Brain Rot. I'm going to have a few more guests coming on soon. I feel like we've done enough solo episodes. I want to have a few more people on, some more dolls as well, especially local dolls. I had so much fun doing my episode with Adia, and I know you guys loved it. And I feel like it was just such a fun kiki moment. And just like connecting with other people in the community, I feel like no one really will get the experience like another doll will. And I just love the kind of dialogues that open up in those environments. Next, I feel like you guys always want to know like what's happening like with my dating life, with my love life, and it's kind of like up in the air a little bit. I obviously was in a relationship for 6 years, and then that ended last August. So it's kind of like the 1 year anniversary of that being completely over. I've been single for the full year. I'm like proud of myself for not like trying to jump into another relationship. I just wanted to like learn and grow on my own. And I think sometimes I can be the person who like really pours themselves into a relationship. I want to help my partner. I want to uplift them. I want to spend time with them. And I've put my own needs secondary. And I also put my own career and my own goals secondary to theirs. And I feel like that's not the vibe. That's not cute. And that's not who I ever was before I transitioned. And so why should it be who I am now? And when those relationships end, it can kind of feel like, oh my goodness, like I invested so much of myself into that. And now that it's gone, I have nothing to show for it. It's a zero returns investment when the relationship doesn't work out, you know? And so I really am proud of myself for a year, not really even dating much. I started just going on dates this summer, and not even dates, just like casual moments with people. Nothing fulfilling, nothing like to write home about, just some like wild experiences. I just kind of had a summer fling summer, and yeah, I don't want to go into too much details because obviously I like to keep things private, but I just wanted to make sure all the plumbing still worked down there, which it does. Having surgery and stuff, I feel like I was with my partner and I felt secure and safe in that relationship. I was literally with him before and after I had the surgery, and I felt comfortable to end that relationship, especially once I realized that he was into me regardless, and there was no malfunctions or issues with the way that my body turned out after the surgery. So I said to myself, like, if it's good enough for him, it can be good enough for anyone. You know what I mean? And that was just like an insecurity I had to get over in my head, but it still came back to me as well because you know, I thought at some point like I'd be so done with like the trans label and all that stuff, especially when it comes to dating, but it creeps back up all the time because I want to be honest and authentic with my partner. I want them to accept me for who I am in my journey on some level. And so if I'm seriously dating someone, I do like to disclose it right off the bat. I mean, I have it on all my profiles and stuff. Sometimes I can be iffy about that because you're worried about your own safety. Like, what if people are seeing your profile and knowing that you're trans and they're living in your building and they're haters and they're going to attack you? Like, I have encountered some creepy men recently. Oh my God, we'll get into that. But, so sometimes I'm like, do I want to put that in my bio? It's not really anyone's business unless I actually go on a date with them. But I'm kind of just advertising it to everyone on dating apps and it's kind of scary. So I could understand if you don't want to put it on your profile, you know? But that being said, you don't owe it to anyone but yourself to be honest to other people because you want to give people the opportunity to see you for who you are and accept you so that you can be your most comfortable and shine your brightest. I will say, like, having had the surgery and having been living my life, I don't really think that there's any differences between me and any other woman other than the fact I obviously don't have a cycle and I also can't have children. But guess what? 99.99% of men aren't looking to have children with a woman, when they're meeting them for a summer fling or when they're, at a bar or just at a party. Like, that's not the vibe. Let's stop pretending. Let's stop acting like I owe every man that I meet, a baby. Otherwise, I'm not a real woman. Like, that's actually insane behavior. I talk with my friends all the time. They are 99% of my friends are cis women. They are women who are born female. They can get pregnant. They're also dating. They're also having flings. They're having hookups. We're just like nearing 30. We're living our lives. It's giving Sex in the City mixed with whatever else. I don't know. And they all affirm me, It's not like I'm some like freak show thing that's like having to disclose like an STI or a disease that I have that's contagious to everyone. Like, no, shut up, Get off your high horse. Like, any man would be so lucky to get with me or to have a date with me or have a chance with me. And as soon as you stop believing that is when you give in to the haters because it's absolutely insane, Um, I tell my friends, I'm like, oh, like some of these guys I talk to, they literally reject me off the basis that I can't get pregnant. And they just like completely write me off, even though they could still have biological children. We could still have a surrogate. I've had conversations with guys where they're asking me all these personal questions saying, well, oh, so you can't have children, but like, what if I wanted to have kids? And I'd be like, well, I also might want to have kids, but I would get, surrogacy donation eggs from my sister, put it in a surrogate, still have someone who looks exactly like me. 'Cause everyone says my sisters and I are clones, like just explaining my situation and possibilities that could happen in the future. And then these men, they still end the conversation with, well, that's great for you, but I just don't think that's for me. And I want to be able to get my wife pregnant. Cheers. And I'm like, well, then why did you ask me all these personal questions, And so I relay these stories to my friends, and they tell me that's insane because what if you're having fertility issues in marriage? What if you're unable to get pregnant? Are you so invaluable to your partner that the only value you bring them is being able to get pregnant? Like, how horrible is that? If a man sees a woman and her only value is to get pregnant, then you're not really seeing her as a fully fleshed person. That's crazy to me. Like, if I was with someone and they were having fertility issues, a man, for instance, I would never say, oh my goodness, like, I think we should divorce because I can't have babies with you. And, even if I was dating and meeting men and they told me off the jump that they're infertile, I would not have an issue with it. If you can't control it, you can't control it. If you can't control the way you're born. If you're attracted to someone, you're attracted to them. If you want to get to know them on a date, you want to get to know them on a date. I understand like preferences, like that you can't control. like attraction preferences. Like say I go on a date with someone who's significantly shorter than me and he's insecure about being smaller than me, and there's like physical chemistry and compatibilities, that's like out of our control. It's just not going to work out. But I would never ever like find someone attractive, pursue them, and then find out they're infertile and be like, oh, actually, you know what? Just because you're infertile, I don't want to put in any effort to try to have a family with you in an alternative means. It just means you don't care about that person very much and you're not a very, understanding human being. You value people in a very mechanical way, and that's so sad. Like, men who see women as baby making machines are just a problem to begin with. It's misogyny. And I'm starting to reframe this way of thinking in my mind because I've dealt with so much misogyny, you guys. It's insane. Like the amount of misogyny that I, as a trans woman, have dealt with is wild. It's men basically trying to tell me why I'm not good enough for them because I'm not, woman enough or whatever. And it's absolutely insane because the things that they have issues with are things that women who are born female also can have issues with, It just doesn't make any sense. It's ridiculous. And I will say this, you guys, 99% of the men who don't know I'm trans never have an issue, never have a problem, never bring anything up, never, never experience a lack of attraction. And I say this once in a while, not to brag. I'm not trying to brag because ideally I wouldn't be in these scenarios, but I have been in situations where I've hooked up with guys and they didn't know. Full Monty, everything. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Head out the door. Never see you again. Move on with my life. And they didn't know. And, it's not their business. And that's life. And there's going to be a horde of people that come on here, as they always do, and they say, that's sexual assault, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's not, sweetie. If you find someone hot, you meet them, you hook up with them, and then afterwards you find out something that you don't like about them or aren't comfortable with them, but it does not affect you in any way other than it's who that person was, then why the F does it matter? You're not being drugged. You're not being assaulted against your will. You're not being at risk of receiving an STI that was not disclosed. Like, there's no danger or threat to you other than your own fragile masculinity. Like, I'm laughing, I'm dying, I'm screaming. The people who, like, have a huge issue with it have mental problems. Like, they are so insecure. Like, it's crazy. And so I don't know. I have to laugh. It's wild. That being said, that would not be my ideal scenario. I'm not interested in those type of encounters. Has it happened? Yes, it has. But it's like one of those things where you're just living life in the moment. You're having drinks, you're partying with your friends. The guy that you ended up hooking up with is also having drinks and partying with his friends. You chat. He's so into you. He's trying to get with you at the party. You're like, no, not here. This is inappropriate. One thing leads to the next. Bam, bam, bam. And, you had a moment together. And it's like a course of action. It's like animalistic passion. It's life. It's the circle of life. And it's like, who cares? Like, move on with your life. Like, if anyone's hearing these stories and they're offended by that, it's because they're jealous they're not getting any. And that's the truth tea. And I will say, I've had scenarios where I've told people and they're just so, you know what? I'll give you guys like the real tea. I have had scenarios across the boards where like I've told people in the moment, like as those haters will comment on my videos and they'll say, you should always tell people as soon as they express interest in you. Okay, so here's a scenario that actually happened to me. I was at a club last Halloween. I was Poison Ivy. I looked freaky. Anyways, I hated my costume, but whatever. It was still fun. I met this guy there and he was really into me. And he had the audacity to, I can't quite remember because I was kind of drunk. And he had the audacity to like look at me and say like, are you a woman? I think he said that to me, but like, I can't, maybe he said something else. It was a loud club and I couldn't quite hear. But I was drunk and I was on one and I was just like, feeling myself. And I'm like, I literally don't give a fuck if did he just ask if I was a woman? And then I said to him, no, I was born a man, blah, blah, blah. And you know what he did? He took his hand and he went like this to my crotch. And he's like, that's a lie. You're flat down there. I don't believe you. And I was flabbergasted, you guys, because A, that's literally sexual assault. I went stone cold. I was like, what the fuck? I was not expecting that. Thank God I had my surgery. But yeah, so I had told him in the moment, I was like, I literally was born a man, but I kind of said it in like not a joking way, but just in a matter of fact way. But I was like obviously being serious, and that's why he did that, I guess. I don't know. But he was like not able to believe it, and he was like kind of obsessed with me, and he just like he didn't believe it or whatever. But I was just like, what the fuck? Like this guy's insane. I need to get away from here. Like this is so inappropriate. And so my friend grabbed me by the arm. Luckily, she just like vaporized near me, and it's like she had a sixth sense and pulled me away. And I was like, oh my God, you'll never guess what just happened. That's crazy. I'd never had an experience like that in my life. And I couldn't remember a time where I ever was in a club and I told a man that I was trans, basically. And I can't remember the exact conversation I'd had with him. I like definitely like joked about like being born a man or something and like laughed about it and probably mentioned that I was trans or something. And he obviously like didn't believe it or whatever. And so then he spent the rest of the night trying to find me around the club and was like, tell your friend to come back, like to my friends. And I'm like, what the fuck? This guy's weird. Like, I literally, told him this stuff about me. And now he's like trying to get me to come back or whatever. And then he had my number already at that point because it was beforehand that I had given it to him. Anyways, after that night, which kind of freaked me out because I was literally like, kind of assaulted. At least it was like over my clothes or whatever. Like it wasn't that bad, but it was still like, it was giving Donald Trump grab her by the pussy. And he proceeded to try to text me, proceeded to try to WhatsApp me. Like he tried to reach out to me several times after that night, like clearly obsessed. And so that's just a testament to you guys that like, it doesn't matter. I've had other experiences too where a guy came over this summer and I told him that I was trans literally 30 minutes before he came over because it was in my profile and I was like, wait a minute, we didn't talk about this. And then he's like, yeah, that's fine. He came over and we like had a moment and it was like, anyone else. And he literally said to me afterwards, he's like, I don't even understand why you tell guys you're trans. And I was like, well, for my own safety, one. But like, it's just crazy the world we live in. So the people that come on here and they tell me like, what the fuck, like you're assaulting men by not telling them, you are insane, you are crazy. I just gave that man the best night of his life. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean. It's just like, it's so stupid. Like we're human beings, we hook up, we do things, like it's life. um, and you just can't live under the rule of other people telling you, that you're not as valuable or as worthy and you have this dirty secret. It's like, no, it doesn't matter. Hot is hot. Sorry you're mad about it. That being said, I'm not 100% like into hookup culture. That's not really my vibe. Has it happened? Yes, it has. But I really am a romantic person. And I always know this about myself. I like to really get to know someone. And so I think I'm kind of closing the chapter on my summer fun vibes and just like going into this like fall cozy wholesomeness. I just want to like, meet someone cute and go on nice dates and just like pursue that avenue of things more so than like wasting my time with like flings. Sure, they're fun once in a while, but I think at the end of the day, we all enjoy intimacy much more when we feel supported and secure with our partner and not when it's like a mad dash to the finish line and then never speaking again or just like being situations like situationships and shit like that. So it's like kind of the buzzword I feel like of the last couple of years. Situationships, just those weird murky gray areas of people who like can't commit to anything or they're struggling with attachment issues, whether it's avoidant or anxious or other things. And you just like can't get anyone to just like settle in themselves. So I'm definitely seeking those individuals who are more mature and more self aware and just like ready to give parts of themselves in a relationship and not be so like about the chase, if that makes sense. And I think that as long as you are manifesting that and you're aware of what you like and what you want, you can make it happen. Anyone can. And I do enjoy the fact that I'm single because I can literally focus so much more on my goals and what I want to get done and not be worried about, oh, does he like me back? Oh, this, oh, that, oh. I mean, do I still do that? Sure. But it's not as all consuming and it's not as My friend described it well. When you're in a relationship, life has extreme highs and extreme lows. You can have like very much disappointments, but very much satisfactions. And maybe those are unstable relationships, but you're just more at risk of those kind of vibes. Whereas when you're single, you just control your own vibes so much more and you can kind of coast. Are you missing some of that excitement? Sure. But you're at least able to recalibrate and to be in tune with yourself. And I think that's so important. So if you're single out there like me and you're feeling lonely and you're feeling unlovable and you're feeling like you're struggling and going through shit and everyone else is getting married and having babies and you are the spinster with cobwebs between your legs, don't feel that way because so many of the hottest, most attractive, and smartest women and men are still single going into their 30s because they have high standards, because you're not willing to put up with people who cross your boundaries and F up your pH balance. That's like a metaphor, but also not a metaphor for some people. And it's not worth it. And if you can find peace in yourself, then you're going to find someone who's able to just add amazingness to your life and isn't going to complete you. They're just going to be a fun addition to your mansion, you know? And I think that's so cool because then you're never going to be in a codependency. I have had so many people throughout my life that I've encountered who I would say have struggled with codependency issues. And what happens in those situations is you end up being in relationships that you hold on for way too long that are toxic. You end up, making concessions for people that don't deserve them because you're too afraid to be alone, and you have a lack of independence and a lack of resourcefulness. And I think you just really fail on all levels as an individual. And I think that that's one of like the lowest forms you can be is codependent, because then it prevents you from stepping out on your own and living your true life. I think codependency has like destroyed the lives of people that I've encountered, at least during those periods where they were codependent or where they continue to have a codependent mindset. Because even after you get out of a relationship, these individuals, they can't let go. They just keep thinking about relationships or their relationship or the things that didn't work out, and they never envision themselves just living life in a single sort of way. I think our society in general puts a lot of emphasis on finding a partner as the end all be all in life, getting married, having children, retiring, dying together, being buried in the same grave. But I think if we reframe things and we reframe our lives, like what will my life look like if I'm single when I'm in my 40s or my 50s or my 60s, then you won't have so much pressure and you won't feel so anxious when you are a third wheel or when you're going to all these events where people have partners. And I think that's so important. Love yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed today's rambling edition of Brain Rot. I want to kind of get into some like advice column stuff and like interact with you guys more. So if you have any like situations or things you want advice on, comment them down below. Let me know about it. Hit that subscribe button and make sure that you are thumbsing up or thumbsing down if you like today's episode. Engagement always helps me. And I'm so thankful for everyone who has been adding themselves to my membership here on YouTube. You're getting access to exclusive emotes and early access to my podcast episodes and all of my YouTube content, as well as additional stuff too. So if you are interested, join the Brain Rotters YouTube membership. We've got 3 different tiers and you can check those out. Love you guys and happy brain rotting.